Hi, this is Shannon Tidwell, Garden Girl at Two Peas in a Bucket, and welcome back for another 213 in 2013. If this is your first time to tune in to a 213 in 2013, myself and a team of other garden girls have a new video for you every Monday, and each layout features 3 to 4, maybe 5 different prompts. So by the end of 2013, you'll have a list of 213 creative prompts to get you started on your next project. Okay, now that you've seen some close-ups of our layout this week, let's go ahead and get started. I decided that I wanted to use some Instagram photos from a recent concert to Taylor Swift. And I have been kind of saving this paper by Studio Calico to use for something special, and I really felt like it fit well with these photos, kind of teenagery, I guess, young and hip and fun. And so that's where we're going to start with this background paper. So you can see that it already has a pre-printed design on it. But what I like to do, because sometimes these can be kind of hard to use and incorporate so that everything flows together, so I like to add some texture, some of my own texture to the pre-printed design. And what I'm going to do first here is start out with just some clear paint. It's actually just a glossy, clear varnish, and I've used it before on other projects, and I like that it kind of gives a glossy finish once it's dry. So my first tip is to use it pretty sparingly because it seems to kind of spread once you squirt it on. So I just squirt a little bit on in the center of the design that I want it to be on, and then use a paintbrush to kind of spread it around to the edges. So once this dry, it'll have a nice glossy finish, and I thought that would really work well with this design, since they're kind of button looking designs here in the middle of this paper. So I'm just putting it on a few of them, not all of them, just kind of spreading it around the design so I can add some different textures around the whole page. Okay, so while that varnish dries, I'm going to go ahead and add some other paint textures to the page just so they can all dry at the same time. Using one of my favorite things is the Heidi Swapp gold spray, and I'm going to do the same thing that I normally do, is just kind of drip it around. I decided this time I'm going to keep it around the edge of the layout. So I've got this big design already in the middle, so I kind of want to dress up the edge of the paper now. I feel like this will help bring the whole page together, so it won't look like I just have the big design in the middle. It'll help everything flow together. You can see I'm repeating the circles. That's why I wanted to use the big drip. So everything will kind of flow together a little bit better and bring the page in as a whole, so that your eye kind of just travels around the whole page and isn't drawn to one certain place. So I've got a really wet page right now, so why not add one more thing? I've got this gold glitter paint, acrylic paint, and right now what I'm doing is kind of practicing with my drips. I just like to kind of shake it down, make sure it's in a good spot, and practice with the size of drips, what kind of pressure I need to get the size of drips I want, I guess. So I'm adding them to the design here in the middle. You can see I've got mostly the large circles for the design that's already printed on there. So I like to mix in some smaller circles. So that's exactly what I'm doing, just kind of squirting some of this paint around. And it looks real milky when it's wet, but once it dries, you can see that it'll just be a nice gold glittery. My page is almost dry, but still have some of the varnish there in the middle that needs to dry a little bit more. So I'm going to work on my title. And here I've just used my silhouette to cut out Taylor, and I used some music printed paper. I thought that would fit with my theme well. So I cut it out in a really large font. I kind of want it to go across the page. I'm visualizing it across the pre-printed design on the paper, just to add another layer there. So what I want to do here is kind of add some gold glitter to it. And instead of doing the drips on it like I did around the page, I'm going to go ahead and give this a few squirts. And I was pleasantly surprised that it actually doesn't mist too fine. It has some nice sized droplets that go whenever you squirt it, so that really worked well. I didn't want it to be too fine of a mist. So I really liked how there were some larger drops as well with the smaller ones. But now I'm going to go ahead and do a little more dressing up on my title. What I've done is just poured some more of that varnish, clear varnish, into the cap, and I'm going to kind of paint it on in some spots where I visualize some silver tinsel glitter. You could certainly use your favorite glitter glue for this. I just already had the varnish out on my table, and it was easier than digging for something else. I just made use of what I had out. And now I'm going to sprinkle around this American Crafts silver tinsel, and just kind of making sure I get enough on it to cover that paint being a little excessive with it, I guess, and then I can just shake off the extra. I'd rather have just a little too much to start with than not enough to cover the spots. Okay, that's looking pretty sparkly and fun. I'm gonna let it dry for a bit. Once it was dry, I added a whole bunch of little pop dots to the back side. So when I adhere it, it will lift up off the page. And now we're gonna move on to our second prompt to put your pictures on the edge. Now that things are pretty much dry, my background's dry, my title's dry, it's time to think about adhering these photos down. So I've got the 3 Instagram photos and I'm just kind of playing around with their placement, figuring out where I want them. But I know I want them to be on the edge of my layout. And you can see that I'm kind of letting them bleed off the side a little bit, kind of turning them cockeyed a little bit. The one on the left bottom I'm going to leave straight, and then I'm just going to cut off the edges. I really like how when you let the photos hang off the edge a bit, that it kind of softens up the edge. Everything won't look too square on my page because I've kind of got a free form page going here, and letting those pictures bleed off the edge will keep your eye traveling all the way around the page and not make it look like it has too strict of an edge. It's going to be more playful and fun. And now we're moving on to our third prompt to add a bit of memorabilia to your page. And I had like 5 or 6 tickets for this concert that I could have put on the page, but I decided just to use the one that was enough to show where we were and what we were doing. So I just used the one and kind of did the same thing, placed it along with the photos, let it kind of hang off the edge a bit, and then trimmed that off. Okay, I decided to add a little bit more to the background here. This number 1 really stood out to me, and so to fit with the whole Taylor Swift theme, I decided to add a 3 to it so that it's 13, her lucky number, favorite number, whatever, but I just thought it would kind of help the page all fit together and add to the theme. And then I found this old American Crafts badge that looks like a CD, and I thought that would be a nice bit of texture added to my background. And now I've gone ahead and stitched around the edge of the layout, and just a light blue kind of matches some of those blue badges there in the middle. And now I'm going to start thinking about adhering down my title. I've got all those pop dots on the back, so that takes a bit of time to pull them off, but the effort is worth it. I love how the title will pop off the page and float above our big embellishments and background design there. I'm using a bit of clear glue just to add this little wooden geo tag onto the photo because it kind of fits with the text that I'd already had printed on that photo. And I found as I was digging around on my desk through all the pile of embellishments you can see on my desk, I found this neat hello kind of transparency embellishment, I guess, by Glitz Design. And I thought it would be fun and just add another circle layer, a larger circle to my background. And so I kind of fit it in. That's the great thing about pop dots is you can lift them up and fit them in. And then I found an Amy Tangerine American Crafts little ticket, added that in beside my ticket. And now I'm going to think about my title. I want to add another kind of subtitle, I guess, to my title. So what I did is just cut a strip of this kind of chalkboard background paper and then notched it on the end so that it would fit underneath the Taylor. So I just kind of slid it under there for now, and I'm going to go ahead and do some machine stitching on it just to add a bit of texture to it so it stands out a little bit better, and slide it back under there, and then work on just adding my letter stickers to it. I'm going to use some silver glittery, kind of small on the small side letter stickers, some thickers for my subtitle there. And now I'm going to go ahead and add some pop dots to this banner as well underneath the title. And you can see that I'm going to put one on each side, but I'm kind of going to lift up, kind of scoot in one edge of that banner. So it kind of makes it ripple there in the middle, kind of makes it float off the page just a tad bit more, just to kind of give it a little bit of more personality there. That's it. And then since I am so pop dot addicted, I'm going to add one more little pop dot over there under the Admit One die cut. Just help it kind of float off the page a little bit and not get lost over there. Okay, and now our last prompt is to roller paint it. I decided that I wanted to add just a little something extra, and I saw these cool little roller stamps laying on my desk, and I thought it would be fun to use some more of that gold paint. So you can see I just squirted some onto a scrap piece of paper, did a little practicing first, and I'm just going to roller it on in a couple different spots around the page. It's a little darker whenever it's wet, but then when it dries, it's just going to be a really light gold, kind of fun, extra added texture to the background. And I know it was probably kind of dangerous adding this once I had the layout pretty much complete, but it ended up working out just fine. I knew it was such a light paint. Like if I'd been working with black ink or something like that, I probably never would have done this. But I knew the gold was such a light, airy look that it wouldn't matter if it was goofed up or not perfect. Okay, now it's time for a few teeny tiny embellishments. I'm adding cute little puffy sticker. I decided to add the little camera down there by the tickets. And then I'm going to add a few more small circles sprinkled around our middle design there. I just thought it needed a little bit more sparkle, and I thought the Studio Calico jewels would be perfect for that. And then one more found embellishment. I found this basic gray flag that says rock on my desk, and that just was meant to be. It had to be on the page. So I played around a bit, found a place for it, added some pop dots, and adhered it to my page. I'm really excited with how this page turned out. I feel like the mood of the page fit the night that we had there at the concert perfectly. And you might notice too that I haven't really added any journaling to this page. I did quite a bit of printing, you can see on the photos already with Instagram apps. So I'll probably add a little bit more maybe to the back side or something to kind of further detail the night. But I really like how this layout turned out. I hope that you've had fun hanging out with me for this 213 in 2013. If you make sure that you do one of the challenges at least this month, then you can be entered to win a prize that's given away on the 2Ps blog. So make sure you follow along and upload it to the 2Ps gallery. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me this week. This is Shannon Tidwell, Garden Girl at 2Peas in a Bucket. Bye-bye.